Would anyone like to speak? Oh, you're on mute, Scott.
I was just saying, I'm not sure that there are words to explain what just happened. That was truly like a unique experience. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll say the same. That's the most incredible experience I've ever had. Um, we'll do it many times this week. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. Unbelievable. And you're so clear, you're so clear. It's so helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, when then practicing this stuff makes it more clear. That's what has to be, that's what we're doing is removing that ignorance. It's really powerful stuff, right?
Yes, it is.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Are you channeling this?
Well, so this is the thing. This is what, I used to think that I didn't have a connection to my higher self because I didn't understand. I was thinking, because you hear everyone talk about it and they talk about it as if your higher self is not you, but your higher self is you. It's just you using the knowledge that that the highest possible um, perspective that you have access to. That is your higher self. So in the beginning, it might feel to some people that it is something separate from you because the knowledge is, the information is something that you're not using on a day-to-day basis. You get caught up in the habits of judgment and these ideas that we've been taught, right? So you're not practicing these perspectives, these ways of understanding and being in the world. And so they seem separate from you, like a different type of personality. But it really is us. It's just whether we're choosing to use that information in our daily life. So your higher self is you using the highest version, the highest principles, the highest perspectives you have access to. It's you. But are you using that information? When you're not using that information, then the higher self seems like it's something else other than you, but it's you. So we're always channeling something because we are just pure consciousness, existence itself. So what information are we channeling? Are we channeling the information that society gave us? Or are we channeling all of it?
It makes sense.
Right?
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I realized, I used to, one of the guy that I owe a lot to, which is Lincoln Gergar, who has a channel on YouTube. He's called Channel Higher Self. But what I realized is Lincoln kind of always made it like the higher self was something separate. And I was like, I was using a lot of these principles. Well, what happened was when I started understanding or studying Vedanta, then it taught me a lot of what I shared with you guys today. And so I was already used when you get access to this knowledge. I'm sure you probably have already noticed that you have these realizations, you have these epiphanies, right? And you start viewing situations in your life or in the world that you see outside of you, experiences that other people, you start seeing it from a different perspective, right? You have these moments of like, oh, I see what that actually is, right? So when I started studying Vedanta, I was having a lot of that. But what was I doing? I was letting more information in, right? So I was already experiencing or channeling these new ideas. And then I met Lincoln, and he called his channel on YouTube is called Channel Higher Self. So he was like, it's like when he's channeling this higher self of his, he speaks actually in a different tone, like a completely different way of speaking. He doesn't sound like his normal self. And so I was thinking that, oh, okay, it's something separate from me, but I never experienced it that way. And I realized the information he was channeling was just information I knew already, but I wasn't looking at it like it was something different than me. And then I realized, and then he also, I think, later stated that it's not different from you. It's you. And if you listen to Bashar, he'll say that too. Your higher self is the highest version of yourself in this life that you chose to have.
Mm.
Okay, so there's that higher self version of you. And for some, it might seem separate because it's operating from the highest perspectives, right? And you might not be used to that because you've been channeling the information that society and your parents gave you. Okay, so it might seem something different from you, but it's really just you expressing these higher perspectives. So I'm channeling these higher perspectives, but I'm also using them in my day-to-day life. Like I try to use them as much as possible. I still get upset, my girlfriend and I had a argument the other day, kind of this argument the other day. So it's not like my life is perfect, but I try to use those perspectives. And, when I'm feeling limited, then I still use I use it on me. Okay, I'm feeling limited. So can I apply the highest perspective right now? So that's why, it's not like you don't have to be perfect all the time. That's also a limitation, trying to be perfect, right? So, so to answer your question, I just feel like I'm channeling the highest perspective.
It's a good explanation. Thank you.
Yeah. So just realize, and that version of you already exists right now. You'll even hear a physicist, well, at least one of them I know, William Brown. He even talks about that, how that version of yourself is here right now. So just entangle with that version. Ask that. Think of that, the highest version of yourself. And what happens? Like, just notice. Like, if you try to think of the highest version of you, the one who's achieved whatever it is, you don't even know what that thing is, but just imagine, just sense and feel the highest version of yourself. What would that highest version of yourself be doing? Thinking, feeling? How would they walk? So you just tune into that person and then start acting like that person, and you are it. So just entangle. You're already entangled with it, but now consciously entangle with it. Consciously choose to align with that version of yourself. And then as long as you keep choosing to align and then take action in that direction, you are it. You're behaving as if you are your higher self. You walk right into him, her, it. But yeah, I mean, I have definitely been in states I don't feel like I was channeling. I mean, I was channeling information, yeah, but I have also been in states where like I was feeling like information was just flowing through me. And I guess I was there too, but I was still conscious as Kat. Like, I was still aware of myself as a person talking. But I have been in states where information was just flowing. And what's interesting is, even this, right, what we're all doing is you guys are like asking questions. And so you might not even be conscious that you're asking questions, that you have questions, and I'm here to pull it through.
Mm,
Right. So we're all acting as like a circuit, like we're doing this collectively together.
that makes
So-
perfect sense.
Yeah. So when you ask a question, then it's pulling it through me.
Oh,
I've noticed that, Kat, that I'm thinking of like different ideas or questions that I have, and somehow you're answering them without me asking them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So this is all like orchestrated.
wow.
Yeah. Like even during the week, I'll be thinking about this, and then somehow in the session, it comes up magically.
Mm-hmm. Dia, did you want to say something?
Yes, I'd like to. Thank you. The first part of your speaking, I was aware with that part, the thinking mind.
Oh, your video went off. Dia, can you hear us?
We're still here, yeah?
Yeah. Dia, can you hear us? I don't know what happened. Hope she's okay. She might
Yeah,
have
I
lost-
feel that, the experience that we're going through, and you, as you know already, I really appreciate, the way that you bring these, lessons across. But I just feel that we're also going deeper as well and expanding, and I think that's really beautiful, beautiful experience.
Good. I'm glad. Anyone else? Are you on mute? I can't hear you. Yeah, you're on mute. Let me see. There, I'll ask to unmute, see if it comes up. There you go. Oh, we can't hear you for some reason. Do you have iPods in? No? Or whatever these things are. Mm-mm. Oh, there, maybe. I heard. No. It's not working. Can't hear you. Let me ask to unmute. Does anything pop up when I ask to unmute? No, it's not. You could type, oh, you're on your iPhone. That's why. If you kind of move off that screen where you can see us, like if you swipe left or right, you might be able to see the controls for Zoom. It's not working. Shoot. Maybe you can put it in the chat. I don't know if you can find that. Anyone else? Sam?
A part of me is a little apprehensive about talking. So I went back and meditated, and then listened to everyone speak. So this past week, the entire physics part is something that I just don't understand quite yet. So I went back and listened to what you said, and then I got on YouTube and started researching stuff. And I came across these people talking about these universal laws, and it kind of hit me. So as I was listening, and I'll listen to it driving and working out, and I listen and I listen, and I realized that these universal laws are a lot like, well, for me, I kind of have to be careful what I say. I don't know how it's going to be taken, but for me, it felt like there's universal laws and then the laws that we have. And when I kind of dug into it a little bit, and I realized that these universal laws are pretty powerful. And when I thought about a couple of them, and then they're so hard to understand, but I took one of them and I kind of related it to my own life. And that's when it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I thought, holy shit, wow. And I thought about it and thought about it and spent the entire week thinking about it. And I realized that these universal laws are powerful. And it feels like for me, as I started this thing that I'm on, I inch myself every week. It's just inch by inch by inch. But this past week, I felt I took a step forward and I got to know myself a little bit more. And I thought to myself, you know, there's these universal laws that I'm not aware of, but they're so a part of our life, my life. And I thought I should learn these laws. And I thought about that. And then I thought about my life and the laws and how they reflect or how I perceive them in my life. And I thought, you know, these laws in my life, I it's hard for me to
Are you
explain
talking
it.
about the Hermetic principles?
Well, I don't know what they all are yet, but I was just kind of scratching the surface on it, and a couple of them I read more and more about it, and I related them to my life, and I realized that I just realized some things, and I'm glad I dug into them. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, it does. So the value of understanding the the structure of reality is that it teaches you who you are, right? It shows you right away that okay, so you have the knowledge that, you know, you are unlimited, eternal, ever-present consciousness.
this is where I started.
Right? So have the knowledge that you are this, right? I don't, is that showing up? Can you see the whole entire circle down here or not?
Mhm.
Is it cutting it off?
No, yeah.
Oh, in my view, it's cutting it off.
Yeah, it's only a portion here.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. It does this every once in a while. Okay, so anyway, you've seen this, right? And you
Yes.
know, all right. So the value in so you have the knowledge that comes from the teachings like Vedanta. Okay. So there's other teachings like the Hermetic principles, but I don't know that. I haven't looked into that, but I think it's probably teaching the same thing. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know if it's just teaching like these laws that kind of Sam brought up, but if it's just these principles, but maybe not the structure of reality. But Vedanta teaches the structure of reality, which is the structure of consciousness, us. Okay. And then physics validates that. What the new physics, specifically Nassim Haramein, some other physicists have like tapped into this as well. But Nassim Haramein actually has the math to prove this, right? You don't need to know the math. But what is nice about it is it validates what Vedanta, which is thousands of years old, a science of consciousness, tells us. So the value in this is that you understand who you are as unlimited awareness. And the more you practice things like what we did today, walking through that, then you start to experience that part of you. And also just thinking about, like what I said, when you think about the three states, the normal three states of human consciousness is waking, dreaming, sleeping. In waking and dreaming, you have an awareness present, right? So But in sleeping, you don't have, in deep sleep, there's no awareness present, but you are still present as consciousness, right? So you can review that in your mind and realize, yeah, I still existed, obviously, but I wasn't having an experience. There was no awareness to have an experience. So that allows you to understand who you are as just existence, right? And you can feel the freedom of that. But you're still going to have all these, like a little bit of confusion because you're not quite getting it, right? And so there's, like Sam said, inch by inch by inch, you're removing the ignorance of not knowing the truth of who you are. So though it is a process. So that's one of the myths about enlightenment, is that enlightenment is an experience and then all of a sudden you're enlightened and you know everything. It's not an experience. You don't have one experience and then all of a sudden you're enlightened. You can be taught this, that I am unlimited existence awareness, right? Or existence alone itself. I'm existence itself. Who I am when not even awareness is there, right? I still existed in deep sleep. There was no awareness. I wasn't having an experience. I was what you were having an experience of was no objects, right? So in deep sleep, you are experiencing no objects. Emptiness, nothingness. But there really is no nothingness. It's actually that no nothingness is wholeness. But so you can understand that and know that you are that existence itself. So immediately you're free. But when you're awake and then that hasn't fully integrated, so meaning there's still some doubts about that, you're still not sure how that actually works, then you're going to go through a process of removing that ignorance of who you are. So you still have to go through that journey. And then as you keep moving through that journey, and what I feel is really valuable for that journey is to be able to experience that unbounded self on a day-to-day basis. So at least 20 minutes a day, twice a day, you are closing your eyes and letting the wave come back into the ocean of consciousness and resting there. And as you do that, you're allowing more of that knowledge to come through, more of that experience of that wholeness and blissfulness to come through. And that is then re-educating the beliefs. It's removing the doubt of who you are. It's removing the ignorance of who you are.
Yeah, can I add something?
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said, I went back to the meditations of last week and how you were guiding us through the flow of the chakras. And that's how I really went from that to just looking into the energy centers. And that's how I just stumbled across these universal laws. So it seemed like one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. But I really do believe that I did take a step this past week, and I feel like I know myself better now than what I did a week ago, which is unbelievable. I mean, just when you think that, I couldn't learn any more about myself, and then suddenly, holy cow, I just learned something about myself. And I put one of those principles into practice. I truly did. I found myself in one of those principles. And then I stopped myself and I went back to what you said. Just put yourself in your heart space. So I felt like, okay, I'm in this position now. And based on what I know, based on what I heard Dr. Katz say, okay, step back, get in your heart. And staying there for about a minute, I came out of it, honest to God, with a different mindset. I knew what I was confronted with. And I thought, and this, I can honestly say, all right, I don't know if my decision changed in the decision that I made, but I definitely thought about my process and
Mm.
the choices that I had. So it really was a really interesting moment for me.
Mm.
And it seems like I've done this like a million times before. Every day I come up with situations where I've been in before, but now it's like a different type of thought process.
Yeah, exactly
So
right. Yeah.
it's hard for me to explain.
No,
It
I understand
truly
what you're
is, but
saying. And
you know, those energy centers, they're just truly amazing. And
yeah,
that's where I started, and I went on and listening to more and more and more. And I wish I could do this 18 hours a day. I swear, I feel like I wish I could do this more. Um,
well,
but
that's the journey is
So I wish I could do it as well.
yeah, I mean, but that's the journey is
it's a journey and it's beautiful. It
mm,
really is a beautiful journey.
mhm,
And I feel lucky to be here
good.
because I go through my daily life and I can't find 10 people like all of you. I just can't.
You can. It will be happening more and more. And don't be afraid to share because
Well, you know, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no, go
That's
ahead.
something that I do fear. I do fear this because I can't share this with my friends because they want to drink a beer and talk about whatever. And I can't seem to do that much anymore because I'm not interested in just a beer and talk about whatever. I want to talk about something that is more concrete and more spiritual and more loving. And they want to know what the next Johnny Walker is. And, you know, I don't know. So,
Well, I, you know, even just you being among them and radiating, you don't even need to speak about these things. You can, but you don't have to. But you've got the information in you, so it's radiating out. So they're getting it whether you speak or not. They're getting some information whether you speak or not. But if you could also, if you really value these people and you want them in your life, you could share a little bit. Just go, I've been like learning about physics and how physics is actually describing how we are creating reality or describing what reality is, and that we are actually not these physical bodies, whatever. You could just share a tiny bit and see if it sparks something in their mind. And maybe, secretly they're doing it too. They're just afraid to say something because people are waking up. They really are. So, I mean, I'm seeing all walks. It's all walks of life. It's not just intellectuals. It's everybody. A lot of people are getting this information because we're in a collective. So we're vibrating it out. And if you are scared to share, then what you're manifesting a world in front of you of people afraid to share.
mm,
Right? So share it. If it's appropriate, share it, right? If it's appropriate, like if there's a lull in the conversation and just go, this is what I've been doing lately. It's really interesting. It's fascinating. Just share that. I've been looking at how, quantum physics is really how the study of how we are creating the universe or something like that, just something to spark their interest. But remember,
yes.
action is the language of the physical universe. So we can't be afraid to share. We can't be afraid to take action, by speaking.
Thank you.
But also there's no pressure either,
That's right.
never ever pressurize yourself. It's just it's just a flow, if it's there, it's there. If it's not, don't be concerned about it.
Exactly. That's right. Thanks, Mark. Yeah. So you're free to share. You're free not to share. You're free. You're always free. But if you want to move, for me, I talk about it to everybody. I don't, if it's appropriate, I talk about it. I bring it up. But, I live in California, so there's a lot of
It's
people.
easier there.
There's a lot of people in this, especially in the area. I don't know. Maybe it's just because that's the worlds I walk into. you know. So is Dia back on?
Yes, yes. I set my alarm early so I would be sure to be ready for us. And it used up more of my phone battery than
Oh, okay.
I took charge of. But I am going to save what I had to say until next time. It's
Oh,
so
okay.
full and it's so meaningful, and I will. Well, I guess on the recording, I will get what I missed of your other expressions. A friend of mine for 35 years is doing a universal worship service. She does it once every 2 months. And
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm going to attend that at 11. And right now it's
Right
11
now.
o'clock.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks, Dia. It's good to see you.
Thank you all. I love you. This is such a treasure. Total.
Good. I'm so glad.
Okay.
Okay. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Did anyone else want to say anything?
I have a question.
Mhm.
So the chart you had up, I've been trying to wrap my head around that all the time. And then
Okay.
during the meditation, you kind of clarified that when we were in the ocean, you can kind of feel yourself moving, but then you said we're the stillness in the ocean. So the stillness is like the bright white ball at the bottom of that chart, right? Is the ocean where you're showing the earth?
Yeah. So, okay. So let me show this. Is it coming through?
Not yet, but it looks like it's going to.
Click to, I don't know why it's, your screen sharing is paused. Why? Stop share. Let me do that again. Okay, there. Okay, so you're all when you are there as awareness,
Hmm.
to my knowledge, you're always going to be experiencing something, right?
Okay.
So as exists, when you are existence itself,
Mm.
there's no awareness. Okay. So now the value of that is just to really understand how free you are. It's not that you want to not experience anything. It's just to understand you're free. Okay. But anytime awareness is present, you're going to be experiencing something. Now, you could be experiencing just darkness,
Mhm.
right? Or you might experience the flow of energy. You might experience waves of energy, but your awareness experiencing energy.
Yeah, so that's more of our awareness out there where the earth is, our
Well,
reality.
no, you are that. The awareness is you, the one who is objectifying
Mm.
waves,
Oh,
right? So you are the one who can experience the waves.
ah,
So
okay.
okay, so if the waves, if the energy is an object known to you, it's not you. You are everything, but
Okay.
you are free of everything.
Okay.
Okay. So I know, and it takes some time to like let this sink in.
Hmm.
Okay. So think about the deep sleep state.
Yes.
There's no awareness there. There's no experiencer there. Right. So, right. You only know that you were in deep sleep when you come out of it.
Right.
Right. So you were aware that you were, when you came out of it, when there was an awareness to know something,
Mhm.
right? You can reflect back and go, okay, I know I was asleep, but you didn't, while you were asleep, you didn't know that,
Right.
right? There was no awareness no knower. There was no knower. So
Okay.
this is where terms get very technical, and what has there just needs to be an understanding of the words. What we can choose whatever word we want, but we just need to understand how we're using the word, right? So
Okay.
you're going to hear, and even I will flip back and forth between consciousness and awareness. I'll use
Okay.
those words interchangeably, but to be very technical, and if we were going to speak to a physicist about this, we'd have to really be precise in how we're using the word. Okay, so if I was going to be talking to certain physicists about this, I would use the term consciousness, and even Bashar would use this term. Consciousness is existence itself. Okay, now when consciousness becomes self-aware, it's kind of like mitosis, right? So think about when cells divide. There's one cell, and then it becomes two,
Right.
right? Have you ever seen that happen?
Yes.
Just one cell, and then all of a sudden another one pops out of it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That's what happens so consciousness is like just this open field, like sky, open field of nothingness, of awareness. Sorry, not awareness, existence. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, existence creates another form of consciousness or awareness. So existence becomes self-aware. Okay. So just like when you come out of sleep,
Mhm.
then all of a sudden now you're aware,
Right. Okay.
right? Okay. So now you're aware of you versus the objects in your room, you and thoughts, even though you probably don't disconnect from those thoughts. You think you are those thoughts, right? But you are aware of the thoughts, you're aware of emotions, you're aware of objects in your room, you're aware of empty space. What seems empty space, like empty space. It's not empty space, but it seems like empty space, right?
Mhm.
So that's mitosis of consciousness. Consciousness becomes self-aware. Okay, when that happens, a field of energy is created.
Okay.
Okay, and that's that field of energy, the electromagnetic field that we experience, is what's creating the physical universe that we experience.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so prior to that happening, so when awareness is created, when consciousness becomes self-aware, then the electromagnetic field exists.
Oh, okay.
And that's where the electromagnetic field is what's creating the physical body as well as the physical world.
When we're reaching up in our meditations as high as we can reach, we're just reaching into that
Yeah,
okay. That's
yeah.
okay. All right.
And what is that? That's information. And again, what is that?
Okay.
That is all of you. That is the highest version of you.
Okay.
Right. So like when you're reaching up, this is the way I understand it and what it feels like to me. When you're reaching up, that energy up there, it feels like very soft and like it feels like love, like wholeness, right? And
Right.
also the energy in your heart also does too, because that's what that point of singularity is in every single right. So that light here.
Right.
Okay, so it's creating this electromagnetic spectrum, right?
Oh,
Okay. So when you reach up, you're reaching up into this. So think about this white light there being the center in the chest. Now,
right.
this is every single particle of you. Okay, so every atom, every proton is this.
Okay.
Okay, so this whole thing, this like electromagnetic field, is every proton, every atom, every molecule, every cell, and then our entire physical body has this dynamic. Okay. Now, when you reach up, so I'm basically reaching up. I think of it as this. I'm reaching up into this space, and what I'm doing is I'm including all of the information in this field,
That-
right?
Yep.
Okay, so what does that mean? That I think of this field as all the possibilities
Mm.
of myself in this life.
Okay.
Who Kat was supposed to be, the journey that Kat chose to have in
Mhm.
this life. Okay, now Earth has this too. Earth has a magnetic field. Okay, so Earth has a core and then it has its own magnetic field. Now our magnetic fields are inside of Earth's magnetic field. So Earth has all these potentials that are
Mhm.
possible for Earth. Okay, all these
Mhm.
energy potentials that are possible for Earth. And that's why we are all collectively experiencing Earth's potentials. We can all agree there's trees and there's clouds and there's water and there's fire and there's, wood, right? There's all these metals that are possible here. Those are all the frequencies that Earth, all the frequencies or all the possibilities that Earth offers. And then our consciousness is focused into Earth's magnetic field. And then we have our own magnetic field.
Okay.
Is that starting to make sense?
Yes, it's much more clear. Absolutely. Yes.
So when we reach up, we're including all of the possibilities that I have in this life.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So like our souls chose to have this experience.
Mhm.
And it created a theme. There's themes that it wanted us to experience. Okay.
Yeah, much clearer. Much.
Okay.
I will listen. Well, I'll be listening to a lot, but
Yeah.
but it's much clearer.
I mean, that's the way I think of it. That's the way
Okay.
I understand it in terms of not necessarily Vedic science, but physics is more how I understand that and what Bashar says too.
Well, and this Bashar, I was listening to him the other day, and he was talking about you say use your imagination, and he was saying it's like
Yes.
imagination is the conduit. So
Yes.
you explaining what you are reaching for, what you think of, was extremely helpful.
Yeah. Well, I've heard him also say, your higher self is the highest version of yourself.
Okay.
And then I've also had, physicist William Brown say this too. Now, William Brown has also had consults. William Brown and two other physicists from the International Space Federation have consulted with Bashar.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Well, thank you. That was extremely helpful.
you're welcome. Yeah. So, that's why I say feel yourself expanded, right? So when you feel yourself open-minded and expanded, what you're doing is you're including all of this information.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was part of my question too, now that you say it. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. You're including all of that information. So that's why you feel whole.
Okay.
Right. So what we've been doing is just allowing only a certain amount of information, a very narrow bandwidth of information. And we've been operating like that.
Yep.
Right. So we've been excluding the idea that we're in a mind, that this empty, we've been excluding the idea that this empty space is actually filled with energy.
Mhm.
Right. And now that we're starting to understand this, we're moving into a whole different octave of reality, a whole different radio station, a whole different frequency. Right. So now we're going to have completely different experiences. What is it going to mean when we understand that we're in the mind of the universe? It's going to be trippy. Right. We're going to understand it. We're starting to understand what time really is. And time is just the shifting of our consciousness through all these different versions of Earth. So all these different different levels or different versions of Earth are manifesting in front of us in any given moment.
Right.
Right. And as we change our understanding, we're manifesting a new version.
Okay.
Right. So you feel relief, Like I can create what I want. All I have to do is focus on, changing me internally. I don't need to change the world.
Right.
I just change me.
Yeah.
Right. So I change me, I change my understanding, and I take action in that direction.
Okay.
Right. So there's a huge sense of relief that you don't have to carry that past forward. You're not right. So I don't need to because what you're doing when you're focusing on the past, you're recreating that in the now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you're going to start to realize like, oh, I don't have to do that. And there's a huge sense of relief. What is relief? It's expansion.
Yeah.
Right? You're dropping all these these like old beliefs that are heavy and weighing you down.
Yeah.
And you feel expanded. And what is that expansion? Higher resonance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we're going to understand that we create the past in the present moment as well as the future in the present moment. Right? So now when that really integrates into our psyche, we will learn from the past. Oh, that's what happens when I think that way. If I think that way, that's what happens. Right? When I operate from those ideas, that's what happens. Okay, I got it. Okay, now what do I want to create? Right? So we're going to create more freely from who we really are as creators, who we really are as that light. Okay, so now one thing I asked you guys to do in the session was notice the difference in how you feel when you are shining as the light versus who you think who you are is like, let's put the human body around that light right there, right? Okay, so the head would be up here, let's say, right? The head would be just little, this head is just higher than the light, right? We'll say that light is at the center of the chest, okay? Because we'll say this is the magnetic field of the entire physical body. So like, let's put our head there. Now, if I'm here, centered here, and I'm looking down at the light, or I'm looking at the light in my cells versus being the light, there's a difference.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah, so I wanted you guys to feel that in yourself, because when you can start shifting your attention that you are the light shining through versus you are the physical looking back at the light, it's different.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's exciting. There's relief. There's still some uncertainty because it's new, but you have to keep exposing yourself to this information. And that's why, that's like, how people have Bible study. You have Bible study, but with Vedanta information or this information.
Yep.
And you have to keep applying it in every moment. Like that was my Vedanta teacher. He said, stand as awareness, apply the knowledge. So standing as awareness means, and he would use these terms, awareness and consciousness interchangeably, but you keep putting your attention on, I am just existence itself. You feel that part of you. Or you can also just put it on awareness itself, because awareness is also free. Because awareness, you are aware of the objects, you're aware of the negative beliefs, you're aware of the negative emotions, you're aware of experience, but you are free from it, right? So even as the awareness, the subject, you are free from it. So whether you put it on, I'm existence itself, or I'm awareness, the one who's aware of objects, you're still free. So you're just removing the ignorance, reconditioning the mind, reconditioning your understanding of what reality is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that. I love that. Honestly, I love that. I mean, I was meditating, and there was a point where I was just in a micro space. So what I mean by that is I was looking out from with it. I was looking out from my heart outwards. And then I was playing a little bit with it. And then I found myself looking from the outside towards the in, and it was just like, that was crazy, that was just like, it was just I don't know what it was. But do you know what I mean? It was just quite amazing that I felt then that I was all that space, that vastness of space for that moment. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it was just tremendous, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying I'm there at all, but I had a real battle for the past few days trying to concentrate, and I couldn't, and all sorts of things. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Good. I mean, so the value in like understanding this too is like in your day to day, you want to, just rest in that being, rest in the being, right? If you can rest, if you can, even with your, like, if you're always, if you're constantly aware of yourself as just being, then that information is going to be flowing through you, right? And also you're rejuvenating yourself so you don't get so worn out by your day. And that information, that wisdom, that wholeness is going to inform your actions more. And if you're aware of it, you're like, you start asking it, just be aware of this empty space and the information here. It's like when you go to take action, you're like, well, what do I really want to do now? What makes sense to do right now? Right? Because normally we're just like, kind of like the dog. I don't know if it's the dog wagging the tail or the tail wagging the dog, right? Like we're just going about our day mindlessly, just by habit. We're not consciously it's an unconscious choice. So when you start or being aware of yourself as this field of awareness, you can now take more informed action, right? What makes sense to be doing right now? If this is my goal, if I want to get to this goal, what makes sense to do right now? What's the action I want to take? And you can still use Bashar's information, like what's the most exciting thing for me to do in this moment? Right? What feels the best right now? And you're taking in the information from your higher mind, which is all around you, right? You're taking in that information and you're acting with that knowledge, with that wisdom. So it's more informed, and you're therefore going to be more effective. Whereas a lot of the times we procrastinate, or the actions we take are unconscious, so they're not well informed. They're not wise actions. And then you also, when you're constantly aware of it, you're allowed to rest. You're being rejuvenated. That energy is flowing through you constantly. So you're constantly having that, energy rejuvenate your body, so you don't get tired as much. You have the energy to do I don't ever get tired. I hardly ever am tired. I can't even tell you when the last time I was like, I'm so tired. That doesn't happen. I don't know. I just don't get tired. I can fall asleep easily, but I never say I'm tired. That just doesn't happen. I don't know why. It's because I constantly feel energy, and it's like, yeah. I mean, it's a constant, like inside, it feels like an ocean, literally in my brain and in here in the physical body. Inside, it feels like an ocean. Literally, it feels like I'm like in the ocean. It's beautiful. So all you're doing is allowing yourself to experience more of what's here. When you become really present and you're aware that we're in an ocean of, a sea of energy, then you start getting to experience it. And we're all going to experience that differently. Like some of you guys might see things instead of, you might not, your inner sense of seeing might happen first. I don't have that. I don't see a lot. I don't see colors. Like some people can see people's chakras and their aura. I don't see that. I feel energy, but I don't see it. So if you don't feel energy, don't worry about it. It might come as sight for you. It might come as sound, hearing things. So you might hear before you see, before you feel energy. So each one of us will develop these inner senses differently. So don't focus on one, just let it come naturally. And you can use your imagination because that's what it's for. So see, like we're starting to understand that's what the imagination's for. It's a way that our higher mind's communicating with us. So in the beginning, again, you might think of your higher mind as something separate from you, but I think it's important to understand it's you. It's just the highest possible version of you. So just start incorporating that knowledge. Start opening your mind so the information can come in.
I love that.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, Kat,
Mhm.
I've always felt energy, always, my whole life. But now I'm starting to see different things that I haven't seen before. And that's been pretty exciting.
Good. So realize there's no ending point too. Like what I've noticed is I could feel heart energy. I could feel the scalar field that emanates from everyone's heart. I could feel that as soon as I had that experience, Kundalini rising experience, I guess I felt both. I could feel people's heart energy, and then I could also feel the energy here in the electromagnetic field. But I didn't know it at the time, right? Then over time, like months later, the feeling of the bounciness, the waves out here and stuff, that all went away, but I could still feel people's heart energy and I could feel my own heart energy. Because that's different. It's a scalar field versus electromagnetic field. So electromagnetic field has like emotion to it, whereas a scalar field is like the sun. It's just light shining everywhere all at once. Okay. It's more, I would say that light, that feels more blissful. So look at the light when you go out in the sun, look at through it like trees. So you can see like the rays and how clean they are. And you'll get an understanding of what scalar means. Okay. Whereas electromagnetic is more like, the lights that it has a direction to it. It has this feeling to it, whereas scalar is just all everywhere all at once. But then that went away. And then what happened was I had to understand reality more. And so as I started learning more and more about reality and also doing spiritual heart meditations and experiencing the different chakras and just standing as awareness and allowing myself to experience what's in the present moment and turning on then I started experiencing the waves again. And not just outside of me, but inside of me and in my brain. Like I can literally feel the waves of energy. So we're going to be, so my point is, don't think it ever stops. You just start experiencing more and more different levels of reality, and each level is different. Right? So we are moving into the next level of what Earth can experience. So, Bashar's reality is totally different than the Earth experience. Not totally different. They have a planet, but they live in ships. They live in ships above the planet. And they use the planet, but they build structures and they immediately dissolve those structures. Their clothing can change. They can like will it to change and it just changes. Their ships, they operate their ships through telepathy, or it's telepathic communicate. Their ships do what each person that, like Bashar is in conscious connection with his ship. His ship is just basically grew out of him. And he just wills the ship to do something and the ship does it. So that's their reality. I don't know that we're going to get that in this reality in the Earth experience. So each level of reality has a different type of experience. So there's never a stopping point. You don't like get somewhere and then you're done. It's always going to be a journey. And we chose to come here at this time to go through this huge transition, right? Like in the last 5,000 years, we haven't, I don't think, well, definitely 2,000 years, we haven't had this kind of knowledge. So anyway, oh my gosh, we went 30 minutes over. I got to make these 2.5 hours instead of 2 hours, but okay.
It's beautiful, Kat. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank all
none
of
of us are complaining about that, by the way.
you. Okay, good. Okay, well, have a beautiful week. I'll get these up sometime today.
You too.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Okay.
You.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.